はい、こんにちは、インターオフィスの寺田と申します。今日はですね、皆さんお忙しい中、ウェビナーにご参加いただきましてありがとうございます。今日のウェビナーは、タイトル画面にも出ておりましたが、ダイナミックスペースですね、についてお話をします。このダイナミックスペースというのはですね、スイスのビトラ社が提唱する新しい働き方のキーワードになっています。今日はこのことについてですね、スイスビトラ社のチーフデザインオフィサーのクリスチャン・グローセンさんとつないでですね、彼から直にこのコンセプトのお話を聞きたいと思います。ダイナミックスペースについてのコンセプト、それからそれに基づいた新しい新商品の紹介、そしてですね、スイスビトラ社の会社の実際の働き方のツアーなんかも今日は皆さんに見ていただけると思います。1時間の時間になるんですけれども、ぜひ皆さん楽しんでいただけたらなというふうに思います。今画面に映っているグローセンさんなんですけども、クリスチャンさんですが、今スイスの、ですけども、ちょうどスイスは今10時ぐらいですかね。まだ朝の時間なので、ちょっとクリスチャンさんにはコーヒーを用意しているので、まずはコーヒーで、朝のコーヒーからスタートさせていただきたいと思います。クリスチャンさん、Hi. Good morning.
Morning.
Hi.
Nice to be here.
Nice to meeting you again. I made a coffee for you, so please have this. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi. How you received it? I'm glad
to see you.
Hi. Ohayo. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you. 今ちょっとお話ししましたが、スイスビトラ社のチーフデザインオフィサークリスチャン・グローセンさんです。今日はですね、まず、彼の方から、このダイナミックスペースについてのコンセプト、そして、新しいプロダクト、コンマという名前なんですけども、これについてお話をしていただきたいと思います。OK, Christian, please, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Let me share my screen. Okay, so first of all, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Christian Grosen, and I am Chief Design Officer for Vitra. Vitra for a bit more than 2 years, and prior to that, I was design director for various Danish brands, where I had the pleasure to work with Naoki and meet Naoki for the first time. And I've been looking very much forward to today, where we will talk about dynamic spaces. So at Vitra, we believe that environments shape our thoughts and feelings, whether we are at home, at work, or on the go. And we work every day to improve interiors through the power of design. And I actually think this was a mission statement is quite strong, because we talk about beliefs, about feelings, and about making a difference, and really try to do that through the power of design. So the office have evolved gradually over the last 100 years, both in function and in appearance. But the crisis of the last years has accelerated this process, creating a radical change that prompted both companies and employees to rethink what they really want and need from their communal office spaces. So what we witnessed over the last couple of years is probably the biggest remote working experiment ever. So we realized that a lot of the work that we do can also be done remotely, and we embraced digital tools extremely fast that enabled us to meet and exchange remotely, a process that would have taken many, many years under normal circumstances. So what does this mean to the office? If we work 2 to 3 days remotely per week, what kind of office do we then need? So one thing that we learned over the last couple of years is that the future is very difficult to predict. And the best way to prepare for the future is really to be able to change and be able to adapt fast, which leads me to the idea of dynamic spaces. So what is a dynamic space? Well, it's first of all a space that gives maximum freedom and flexibility to teams and users. But it's also a space that is easy to configure and reconfigure, and therefore able to host different work styles and activities. And it's a space that can be created in any context. And this comes at the same time as a new generation, enters the workforce. A generation that are digital natives and wants freedom and full flexibility and expect to be able to impact their surroundings to support their way of working. So building agile and dynamic spaces is also about attracting and retrieving new talent that have a different expectation to, you say, and demands to how to work and also to their environments. So let's have a look at what this means. Here we have a team that needs a meeting space. So with a flip-up table and a few chairs and one of our dancing walls, they can actually build a meeting space themselves. And as you can see, most of the products are on casters. And if they're not on casters, they're really lightweight and easy to move around. So if we apply this to 100 square meter space, it could look like this. Using the same building blocks, the space can adapt to changing needs over a day, over a week, or even a month. For instance, from a meeting layout over a combined meeting and workshop layout to a space for presentations. It's really crucial that the space can be configured by one or a few persons over a very short period of time. If you have to call, for instance, facility management to change it, it will never happen. So it has to be really easy and intuitive to change without the need for any tooling or training. So let's have a look at what it can look like in real life. This is from an architectural studio in Zurich, in Switzerland. And with the same components, the space can be changed to support multiple work styles and tasks. Vitra is constantly developing ideas and products to support new ways of working. And one of these products is Comma that we launched a few months ago. As mentioned earlier, one of the learnings from the last couple of years is that the winners are those companies that are able to adapt fast to new situations and new needs. Comma is Vitra's answer to this new need. And you can say that Comma provides the infrastructure for an unknown future. As you can see, the Comma system is inspired by scaffolding. And we wanted to create a system that was as flexible and easy to use as scaffolding. A system that can be configured and reconfigured over and over again. Comma is what we call microarchitecture. That means furniture that can define a space within a space without interfering with the physical surroundings or the architecture of the building. This is crucial because as soon as you attach something, or drill a hole or attach something to a wall or to the floor, the flexibility and the dynamic is gone. So here you see how diverse Comma is. Depending on your individual needs, Comma can work as a table or shelf or a room divider or all three at the same time. The possibilities are endless and enables the teams to directly influence their surroundings. Here, an example of how desks and seating can be integrated when giving the team the opportunity to create their individual project homes. A space that can easily be expanded or reduced depending on the project type and the size of the team. We wanted to keep Comma simple and intuitive. It's basically a construction kit consisting of 6 parts: base frames, top frames, horizontal beams, diagonal beams, and shelves and screens. And these 6 elements are then available in 6 different sizes, which leads to endless possibilities. This video shows how simple it is to assemble and disassemble Comma. You basically take the base frame, stabilize it with a diagonal beam, add the horizontal beams, and finally you strap on the tabletop and you add the 2 top frames, and finally you mount the screens and you have a full functional workplace. The horizontal beams are attached to the side frames with the so-called claw, which is very intuitive in use and to open and close without the use of any tools. And as you can see, it's asymmetrical to sort of allow a straight or continuous line of the diagonal or the horizontal beams. All shelves and tabletops are easily strapped on to the structure inspired by outdoor equipment. And the cradle-to-cradle certified screens from recycled felt are mounted in the same way. The diagonal beams, which are there to sort of stabilize the system, is also very easily clipped on. And for safety reasons, you need an Allen key to release the diagonal beam. In this video, you can see how diverse configurations can be made. And remember that all parts of this can be disassembled and used again and over again for new configurations. So now you know comma.
はい、クリスチャンさん、ダイナミックスペースの説明、それからコンマのご紹介、ありがとうございました。このお話を聞いてですね、ダイナミックスペースというコンセプトのもとに、このコンマっていうプロダクトがもういかにですね、フィットしているかっていうことをちょっと感じたんですが、このコンマの説明の中で、やはり僕の中で一番印象的だった言葉がマイクロアーキテクチャっていう言葉です。建築空間の中に新たに小さなスケールの建築を作るということで、家具を超えたですね、そういったものになってきているのかなというふうに思いました。実はいろいろ質問とかですね、感想までいっぱい僕話したいことあるんですけども、今日はクリスチャンさんにですね、この後引き続いて、この実際コンマを使ったですね、彼のスイスのオフィスの状況、クラブオフィスと言われてますが、彼の毎日働いている、そのオフィスの紹介をしていただきたいと思います。では、クリスチャンさん、どうぞ。
With pleasure, of course. So what I really like about Vitra is that, first of all, we develop a lot of new office concepts, but we actually not only talk about them, we build them and we work from there to gain new insights and experience in order to foster new ideas. So let's have a look at our latest office concept, which is part of our design and product department in Switzerland, the club office. This is our headquarter designed by Frank Gehry, actually, in Basel, Switzerland. And on the other side of the parking lot, we have the design and product development department, situated in a beautiful old production facility where some of the first Eames products in Europe were produced. Is where the new club office is built. When developing the club office concept, we asked ourselves, why do people want to come back to the office if they can work remotely? Going back to the office will become a conscious choice, guided by the tasks, the required level of interaction, and the need for direct access to resources. So the physical workspaces that we now build should complement the home office and provide added value for both the company and for the users. The club office concept transformed the office into a place for collaboration and innovation. The club office is divided into 3 areas: a public area, a semi-public area, and a private area. The public area is open to team members and guests or external collaborators and partners, designed to encourage spontaneous encounters and easy informal collaboration. The semi-public area is designed to support scheduled meetings, allowing for deeper collaboration and workshops and, more formal knowledge exchange. The private area is suited for focused work, both for teams and individuals. So this is a picture from the public area where I'm sitting right now. And it was very important for us that every single seat could be turned into a productive workplace in a few seconds. Here you see the Alcove Plus. In this updated version of the Alcove sofa designed by the Burlek brothers, you sit on screens, and depending on the level of privacy you want, you can open and close these screens. You can also see that several of the Alcove furniture is on casters to ensure flexibility. This is the soft work by Barbara Oskaby, where I'm actually sitting. A flexible sofa system that offers great comfort and all the necessary facilities for work at the same time. The communal join table is also designed by the Burulex and is where you can gather for a team meeting. In the semi-public area, it's more planned for meetings. Here it's a workshop area, for instance, for design sprints that can easily be changed by one person in a few seconds to accommodate a new situation from a workshop mode like here or into a presentation mode. This is the classroom that can host bigger groups for presentation, but it's often also used for one-to-one meetings or even individual work. In the semi-public area, you can also book smaller meeting rooms, either for a team meeting or some of them are designed for Zoom calls or just a phone call. And finally, we have the private area. This is where the teams are working more focused on their projects, but where there are still dynamic zones for workshops and design sprints. Depending on what phase a project is in, you need different layouts, office layouts, to support different work models. In the private area, we used the comma system to create what we call project homes. And comma enables the teams to define what their individual project home should look like and how it should develop over the time span of a project, depending on the tasks, the team size, and the phase of the project. Using the comma system, the teams are surrounded by their prototypes, which is very important. The prototypes related to their individual projects, shortening the distance from thought to action. We also use a lot of these horizontal surfaces on casters, obviously also built from comma parts. And we use these mobile surfaces all the time for displaying, for meeting, and for storage. We also turned most of our meetings into standing meetings in these dynamic areas, because these meetings are much more effective, they're shorter, and they're easy to prepare. So this is how we built our club office here in Basel, in Vitra. But club offices will, of course, vary depending on the size and the individual client's needs. But with the right product supporting the idea of dynamic spaces, you can create an attractive workplace that motivates your team and fosters an innovative and agile work environment. Last but not least, I would like to share just a few references where comma has been used. So here it's from a company called Fjord, a design and innovation consultancy in Zurich, in Switzerland. As you can see, they used the relatively few components, or same few components, to reconfigure the space over and over again. And here, another reference from WeWork, a co-working space in Hamburg. Thank you very much for listening.
はい、クリスチャンさん、とても興味深い話ありがとうございました。これからはですね、ちょっと、クリスチャンさんといろいろお話をしながらですね、いろんなことを聞いていきたいと思うんですけれども、これを、ウェビナーをご覧になっている皆様もですね、ぜひ Q&A のセクションの方にですね、何かご質問があれば、ご質問をいただきたいと思います。今、受け付けてですね、拾えるものは、なるべく拾っていきたいと思います。How's the coffee, Christian?
Good. Thank you very much.
Yeah? Still hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
ありがとうございます。ではですね、ちょっと僕はまずちょっと感想というかですね、ちょっと思ったことをちょっとお話ししたいんですけれども、まずそのビトラ社という会社がですね、単にプロダクトを開発、製造、販売しているだけではなくて、そのプロダクトの背景にあるその働き方、暮らし方、何かそういう生活みたいなものを本当に深く掘り下げて研究している会社だということに感銘を受けました。その中で、やはり、少し幼稚な質問になってしまうかもしれないですけど、クリスチャンさんが先ほど見せていただいたクラブハウスで働いているっていう話なんですけども、クリスチャンさんのスイスでの一日というものをちょっと教えてもらえたら嬉しいなと思います。
Well, I often meet in around 7:45 in the morning, and then we very often have designer meetings. So designers from all over the world visiting us here in our office, in the club office, to collaborate in developing new products. They often come here to our office because we have the development facilities, the workshops, and all the prototypes here. And in the afternoon, I often have a lot of meetings with all the project teams to discuss the ongoing projects. We have a lot of ongoing projects that, of course, needs, constant guidance from my side. And then around 6 o'clock in the evening, I go home and spend some time with my family, and then I work for a few hours in the late evening to answer my emails, typically.
なるほど。クリスチャンさんは今日はたまたまそのソフトワークのソファーに座って仕事ということなんですけど、やはりその日によって、あるいは一日の中でいろんな場所にこう移動して働いてるっていう形になるんでしょうか？
Yeah, usually in the morning, I sit at the communal table in the club office I showed you before. So often in the morning, the first couple of hours, I'm available to the team if they have some questions, and they can just approach me if they want to discuss something. And then during the day, I often move around. Sometimes I sit a few hours with one of the project teams and work from there, or in different areas of the club and in the project areas. So I don't have an office and I don't have a fixed table.
自席がない、あるいは席が決まっていないっていうことかもしれないですけど、それはいわゆるこうクラブオフィス全体がクリスチャンさんのオフィスであり、みんなのオフィスであり、全部が自席であるというようなことなんでしょうかね。
That's totally right. Everything is shared. And of course, you could say the project teams have their project homes for the projects, but of course, it's also meant that people can move around a bit to learn from each other. That's very important.
なるほど。一人で集中するっていうことと、誰かとコミュニケーションを取るって、そのバランスがやっぱオフィスっていうのは重要なのかなって、今お話伺って感じました。
It's very important. So we have, even though you could say a lot of the focused work, we also allow people to work from home for a few days a week. So if they really have to focus on something and they don't need to collaborate or be close to their colleagues, they are allowed to work from home. But we also have smaller areas in the club office that are meant for more focused work. But of course, you're still part of the space, so it's not like a closed room.
なるほど。コロナ、COVID のパンデミックの前は全員がオフィスに来るっていうのが当然でしたけども、パンデミックの後は例えば半分が家で働いて半分がオフィスで働くっていうことになると、それだけこうスペースに余裕ができていろんな働き方ができるっていうのは、コロナによる違った何か新しい発見だったのかなというふうに思いました。
Yeah, I would say the only positive thing that you could say about the pandemic was probably that it actually made us reflect, and it made us experiment a bit of how we could work and how we could actually create an office that was, you could say, optimized to this new way of hybrid work that we are facing at the moment.
そうですね。コロナにおいてそれは唯一かもしれないんですけども、ポジティブな面もとして捉えたいということですよね。こういうことは僕もそう思います。
And I think that's also the interesting thing about dynamic spaces, that it's also a way to optimize space that you have and use it for different purposes during the day or during the week.
今ダイナミックスペースのちょっとお話が出たんですが、それと絡めてですね、クリスチャンさんが、デザインしたこの、今晩についてちょっとお話を伺いたいと思います。これはですね、ちょうど今ウェビナーの参加者の方からの質問でもあるんですけども、今実際そちらでですね、このコンマを実際使ってるということだと思うんですけども、どのくらいの頻度でなんていうかセッティングを変えてるんでしょうか？
It depends a little bit on the teams. For instance, if we define a new team that is bigger than the previous one, we often change. We add a few tables. Sometimes we also, just to sort of energize the space, we simply change the construction completely. So changing, maybe adding a table or changing a few seats maybe happens every week, whereas the bigger changes might happen once a month or something like that. And changing the complete, you say, layout of the office is maybe once every half year or maybe every year. It's not that often. But the nice thing about Comma is that you buy the option to be able to adapt to a future that you don't need or don't know.
我々インターオフィスもですね、意識して働き方、いろんな働き方をトライしようということで、月に1回ずつぐらいは、レイアウトをチェンジしています。それで、このコンマについてですね、やはり僕思ったのは、今のクリスチャンさんのお話の中で、人が新しく増えたときにレイアウトを変えていく、あるいは机を足していくっていうことなんですよ。それを実際使う人自らがどういうふうに変えるか考えて、自らが組み替えをやるというのが、僕はすごく重要なんじゃないかなというふうに思いました。
I think that's extremely important for motivating the team members, that they can actually influence directly their surroundings to make it fit to their project. Because depending on what you work on, or as I said, in what phase you are in a project, there are different needs. And I think it's really important to have a system that can support that spontaneously and doesn't have to be planned a long time in advance.
ルイス・サリバンという建築家の有名な言葉で、Forms follows function、形態は機能に従うというのがあるんですが、まさに、このですね、コンマは、組み替えられるよ、あるいは組み替えてねっていうのをもう形自体が言ってるような気がするんですけれども、それでまずこのコンマの見え方としては、建築の足場を一つベースにしてたっていうことなんですけども、これをデザインしていくにあたっての、何かすごく苦労されたこと、あるいは、すごくなんていうか気にされたこと、そのあたりのデザインをしていくにあたっての、何か裏話みたいなものが聞けたらと思うんですけども。
Yeah, I think because it's obviously inspired by scaffolding, it was a very, you say, fine balance in how much should you design and how much should you leave it as a structure.
Yeah.
So we, of course, really focused on all the dimensions of the tubes and the different beams and to make it look really well balanced, but also all the way that the different parts join, the hooks and the claws, really designing them in a way that it still has this tool-like feel, but that is really functional and also really shows that it's meant to be used. Because if you start to sort of give a lot of form to it and over-design it, it just becomes too much and it loses its, you could say, its logic somehow. So it's really about proportions, dimensions, and the details.
そうですね。やっぱり3つのバランスをどこで取っていくかっていうのはすごく難しくて。
I mean, it's a little bit like tooling, right? Some of the most beautiful tools, they are 100% function.
Yeah, that's right. 家具としての単純な綺麗さっていうことではなくて、やっぱり道具的な機能美っていうものがここには込められてるっていうことなんでしょうかね。このコンマなんですが、これはいわゆるビトラの社内のデザインチームで作ったというふうに聞いています。ビトラの商品というと、製品というと、やはり、名のあるですね、デザイナーが作っているっていうものが多いと思うんですが、この社内で全てやってるっていうのは、いつもの働き方とは何か違う点っていうのはあったんでしょうか
？Well, no, not in the process, no, apart from we didn't have the external designer involved. But I think the idea actually came up when we had a meeting in one of our meeting rooms where we have, as I said, we are in this beautiful old factory where we have some roof lights and they were going to repair the windows. And during the meeting, they put up a scaffolding and repaired the window and they took it down again. And we were like, wow. That's pretty smart and very fast. So we thought that somehow we must be able to apply that to a new office system.
僕はこのコンマを初めて見たときは、これがやはりプライベートゾーンでも使われるっていうことに驚きを感じました。なぜなら、プライベートエリアっていうのは、これは日本人的な感覚かもしれないですけども、とても静かで、なんていうか落ち着いた、ある意味動かないスペース、そういったものが集中する場所だっていうふうなイメージがあったんですね。だけどそれも働き方によって変えていくと。なのでビトラの商品の多くがですね、持ち運べることができる軽さがあったり、あるいはキャスターがついてたりということが、ビトラの未来っていうものを感じました。ではですね、ちょっとまた一つ質問が来てるんですけども、よろしいでしょうか。ちょっとかなり大きな話になるんですけども、本当にこのパンデミックが終わった後の働き方、この次のステップ、何かどういうような働き方になるかっていう何か予想あるでしょうか？
Yeah, I think the reason why we will go to the office is, this kind of remote or hybrid work mode where we work a few days, maybe just 1 day or 2 days from home or do focused work or somewhere in a on the go somewhere, and the rest of the time in the office will remain. Because we can also see when hiring new young talent, they expect that flexibility. On one hand, they are also very flexible in when they can work, but they also expect the same flexibility from their employer. So when you go to the office, it will be to collaborate, to meet colleagues, to exchange, to have all the things that you don't have when you work focused from home. Because even though we meet like now on Zoom and it really works very well, at some point you really need to also meet people face to face, and especially if you do product development. I think we realized during the pandemic that at some point you have to meet to touch the products and to feel them next to you, and you can't really do that in a digital mode only.
そうですね。ビトラ社のやはり話の中では、やはりリアルに人と人が会うっていうその重要性っていうのをいつも僕は説いてる気はします。その中で、いかにバランスをとって働いていくかということだと思うんですね。
Yeah, it is a very important balance, and it's also a difficult balance for a lot of people. It's something we have to get used to and understand how we can thrive in that environment. And I think our task is really to understand people's needs and to support them with an interior that can help them work in that new hybrid mode. And I think that's what I really like about Vitra, actually, because they really, I mean, we develop a lot of concepts and we do a lot of thinking about and research about how the future will look like and how we will work and live. But we actually don't only talk about it. We take our own medicine, and we actually build the concepts ourselves, like the club office here, and we experience and we really try to live it.
はい、クリスチャンさん、いいお話ありがとうございました。もう1時間経ってしまいましたのでですね、この辺でちょっとクロージングにしたいと思うんですけども、今日はですね、ビトラの、描く未来っていうものが見れたので非常に良かったと思います。そういう形でですね、また、クリスチャンさんにはリアルでお会いしたいというふうに思います。
I'm also looking very much forward to see you again.
ありがとうございました。ちょっと最後ですね、インターオフィスの方から、ちょっとご案内したいと思うんですけれども、このですね、コンマですが、今、東京青山のインターオフィスのショールームで展示しております。実はご質問の中にですね、耐久性はどうですかとか、この面ファスターによって、実際どうなんですか、固定される、グラグラしませんかというようなご質問があったんですけども、これかなり、僕も実際組み立てをやっていましたが、かなり、なんていうか、クリップオンでですね、かっちりしてます。これなんかもですね、ぜひ、ショールームの方に来ていただければ体感することができますので、自分で組み立てたりとか、そういうことも、していただけるような状況にはなっておりますので、ぜひ、この本物をですね、触れていただければというふうに思います。ちょっと最後はちょっと告知になってしまったんですけども、今日はですね、クリスチャンさん本当にありがとうございました。時間になりましたので、今日のウェビナーはここまでとしたいと思います。Christian, thank you very much again, and then talk to you soon, and see you again.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. ではここで今日は終わりたいと思います。ありがとうございました。